My name is Claire Donovan, and the first time I saw him, he wasn't meant to matter. He sat by the window in a quiet corner of the care facility, untouched by the rhythm of the place. No flowers brightened his table, no cards leaned against the wall. Even the name tag above his bed hung crooked, the ink faded, like no one had bothered to read it in weeks. I was there for someone else, someone I had promised to visit. But I couldn't ignore him. He kept looking toward the hallway, not casually, not out of boredom. He watched it the way people wait for something important, like a door might open and fix everything, like someone was supposed to come. "Excuse me," I asked a nurse quietly as she passed. "Does he have family?" She hesitated just long enough to make the answer feel heavier. Then she shrugged. "They stopped coming." Stopped. Not couldn't. Not lost. Just stopped. That word followed me home. I told myself it wasn't my concern. People had complicated lives, complicated families. There were always reasons. But a week later, I found myself back there, walking past the room I didn't need to enter. He was in the same chair, same position, same empty waiting. This time, I didn't keep walking. "Hi," I said softly, stepping closer. "Do you mind if I sit?" He didn't respond, didn't look at me, but he didn't ask me to leave either. So I sat. At first, I filled the silence with nothing, small stories, observations, thoughts that didn't matter. 10 minutes stretched into 30 before I realized I'd been talking the entire time without a single reply. Still, when I stood to go, his fingers shifted slightly against the armrest. A small movement, but enough. I came back the next week, and the week after that. It became something steady, something I didn't question anymore. I brought small things, a blanket, fruit, a radio that hummed softly with old songs. He never said thank you. He rarely reacted at all. Until one afternoon, nearly 2 months in, when everything changed. I was mid-sentence, talking about nothing in particular, when he turned his head and looked at me. Not past me, at me. His lips parted, and in a voice so thin it barely existed, he spoke a single word. "Ethan." My heart dropped. Ethan. My husband. I didn't react right away. I couldn't. The moment felt too fragile, like any sudden movement might break it. I leaned in slightly instead. "Ethan," I repeated, carefully. His eyes stayed locked on mine, but there was something distant in them, like he was searching through fog. "Where is he?" he whispered. The question hit harder than it should have, not because I didn't know the answer, but because I did, and it wasn't something I could say out loud. "He's busy," I replied gently. It wasn't entirely a lie, just incomplete. He nodded faintly, accepting it without question. That hurt more than anything. It meant he was used to answers like that, used to not asking for more. "Do you remember anything else?" I asked. He frowned slightly, gaze drifting back to the hallway. "Home," he murmured. "Big, then quiet." His fingers tightened. "Too quiet." I swallowed. "Do you remember your name?" He shook his head once. That was the moment something settled inside me. Not pity, not curiosity, but a quiet understanding. This wasn't confusion. This was abandonment. I didn't tell Ethan. Not then. Not for a while. At first, I convinced myself I needed certainty. That I couldn't walk into our home and say, "I found your father sitting alone in a place you left him." But the truth was, I already knew. The signs were too clear. The waiting, the silence, the absence. Still, I kept going back, and slowly, pieces of him returned. Not in order, not clearly, just fragments. "A boy," he said once, staring at the ceiling. "Always running." Ethan. Another day. Voices. Loud. Then doors. That one stayed with me longer than I wanted. One afternoon, I brought a photo album, mine, not his. Familiar faces, moments frozen in happier times. I flipped through it slowly until I reached a picture of Ethan and me. He reacted instantly. His hand lifted slightly toward the image, trembling. "Son," he whispered. My chest tightened. "Do you remember him?" He nodded, slow, uncertain, but real. Then he looked at me, really looked this time, studying my face like he was trying to place me in a memory just out of reach. "You stayed," he said quietly. I didn't know why those words hurt as much as they did until I realized no one else had. The first time he said my name, I felt the ground shift beneath me. "Claire," he whispered. I froze. I had never told him. "How do you know that?" I asked. His gaze didn't waver. "Long time ago." Something about the way he said it made my chest tighten. "When was the last time you saw him?" I asked carefully. His eyes drifted back to the hallway. "Before here," he said slowly. "He said I needed rest." I looked around the room, the blank walls, the emptiness. This wasn't rest. This was being put away. "Did he visit?" I asked. A pause, then a small shake of his head. "No time." The words felt rehearsed, familiar. "And your family?" He looked confused for a moment, then distant. "I had one," he said. I swallowed hard. "You still do." But the silence that followed felt heavier than anything he'd said. That night, I asked Ethan carefully at first. We sat at the kitchen table, dinner half finished, the TV murmuring in the background. "Have you seen your dad recently?" I asked. He didn't even look up. "No, why?" Too quick. Too easy. "You used to be close, didn't you?" That made him pause, but only for a second. "Not really." A lie. I had seen the photos, heard the stories. "What happened?" I asked. He sighed, irritation creeping in. "Why are you asking?" "Just curious." He leaned back. "He got difficult after my mom died. Forgetful, angry, couldn't take care of himself." "So you put him in a home?" "We had no choice." "We." The word felt wrong. "Do you visit?" I asked quietly. Silence. Then, flatly, "No." My chest tightened. "He asks about you." That got his attention. His head snapped up. "What?" "I've been seeing him," I said. Something changed in his expression, but it wasn't guilt. "You shouldn't be doing that," he said coldly. And in that moment, something inside me shifted, because that wasn't concern, that was control. "He remembers you," I said. "That doesn't mean anything," he snapped. "He remembers being left alone." For a second, something flickered in his eyes, then it disappeared. "We did what was necessary," he said. I stood up slowly. "I'm going to see him tomorrow." "No." The word was sharp, final. I met his gaze. "He's your father." "And this is my family." And you left him there. His expression hardened. You're crossing a line. Maybe, I said quietly. Then maybe you should have drawn it somewhere else. The next morning, I went back, not out of habit, but out of certainty. He was waiting for me, this time not by the window. You came back, he said, clearer than before. I said I would. He reached into the drawer beside his bed and pulled out a worn envelope. Yours, he said. I hesitated. Are you sure? I was saving it, he said softly, for when someone came. The words settled deep. I opened it slowly. A photograph slipped out first. Ethan, younger, smiling beside his father. Then the document. I read it once, then again, slower this time. My grip tightened because I understood immediately. This wasn't neglect. This was deliberate. That evening, I placed the paper in front of Ethan. You forgot something, I said. He looked down, and for the first time, his composure cracked. Where did you get this? He asked. I didn't answer. He already knew. It's your father's house, I said quietly. Transferred to your name 6 months before he was admitted.